All right, Judah, we got day one in the books. Like we talked about, I think it was a good session. Day one stuff, right? So review stuff, getting the kinks out, working the rust off, things like that. And we're only going to grow and get better from here. So week one, really what I did was just put together some clips, took some clips out of the workout, and just going to talk about and emphasize some of the things that we discussed during the session. Just another touch point for you to kind of review, look at yourself, evaluate yourself, and see what we can improve on in the weeks to come. All right, so first is really, the basics. This is the get off. This is the most important thing for a D lineman. This is where you make your money. All right, you react to that football being snapped, and like we talked about, your goal is to get to 4 yards deep, 2 yards inside. You have to beat the offensive tackle there, hands down. That's the ultimate goal. So in order to do that, right off the bat, we're working on stance and start. Okay, so we're working on your get off. You look at your stance here. Let's just talk about this real quick. All right, what did we talk about? Feet shoulder width apart, okay? A little bit of a stagger there, toe to instep, which I like. Your left toe towards that right instep. My ball side foot is back, okay? My inside hand is down. What I would like to see a little bit further out past your head, get a little bit more lean on that front hand so you can fire out when that ball is snapped, okay? Once that's all established, we want to work a little bit to coil up a little bit more. So bringing my hips down a little bit more, coil up, and get ready for that explosion once the ball snapped. Okay, and obviously you were in that 4-point stance most of the season. So what we did was work a little bit on this offhand, getting it up, getting it ready to battle, because hands are obviously going to be important in your rush. So as we take a look at a couple snaps, remember that as we snap the ball, that pad level has to be a gradual increase, okay? You can't just pop up as if you're just standing straight up like a 2x4, right? You have to get that first step off, no wasted movement, and really stay low, get a good pad level throughout that rush. So I think that's decent. The other thing I'm going to mention that I saw throughout the whole workout was more or less your finish, okay? If you look at this clip, and I know it was a battle to start off. We're just getting back. You're going through the ladder, a little bit of heavy legs, but at the same time, there's nothing more important than getting to that 4 yards past the line of scrimmage. So each drill that we're doing, remember, the finish is the most important piece, okay? All right, right here we're talking about run block disengagements, okay? And we're working with the quick rip, all right? So we want you to extend your hips as you're locking out your arms, okay? So keep an eye here on those hips. You tell me in this video if they extend, if you're shooting those hips, doing a good job of that. Also, you tell me if you're locking out these elbows, getting this offensive lineman, who's me in this case, driven back or getting him locked up, getting your arms locked up so you can get him off of you. So you can't rip through unless you are locking out with your arms and hips, extending and getting this offensive lineman off of you. So as we take a look real quick, hit play. This one was decent, but I see you're kind of standing straight up here before you get that rip. All right, so again, like I said, just think about extending these hips straight out, okay? Extending these arms and these elbows straight out, keeping your wrists tight. Really shooting through my chest and being violent, okay? That's the first step. Now, once we get past that, once we have that achieved, you're going to work on that rip with a good balance, okay? So you're bringing your right hand through, all right? Getting past that old lineman, and once you get that rip completed, you want to get straight down the line of scrimmage and get flat, okay? You don't want to gain any more ground vertically because some kind of run play or some kind of action is coming your way. So you want to shrink everything down. All right, this is just from the other angle. And I think you're getting a little tired here, but it's a good illustration, again, where those hips go, okay? So I'm going to circle them again. You really want to extend out. In the next clip, you're going to see yourself with that heavy bag, with the heavy ball, really working and extending those hips. And that's what that drill is for. You want to translate that drill that we're going to see soon into this one right here. And you really want to extend those hips, get them straightened out. All right, so without being repetitive, kind of the same exact thing, getting those hips extended, getting those elbows extended, locking out that offensive line before that rip comes. All right, and this is really just this is just a drill to illustrate and emphasize this hip extension right here. You see you're all coiled up, okay? That's how you would start off in your stance, and then eventually once we start, you're going to see your hips in a straight line and shooting your elbows as well. There it is. Let me try and freeze it for you. There it is. Okay, so this is the drill we're talking about, okay? You're extending your hips. You're delivering a blow right to the chest plate, right to those armpits of the offensive lineman. Look at the violence there, and look at this angle. This is what we're talking about, this hip flexion right here. This is where all your power comes from, all right? I know you do well on the power clean. This is where that power is generated from, those hips, okay? So if you could translate this drill into your one-on-one when you're dealing with an offensive lineman and you deliver a blow like this, you got the hips extended, you got those elbows extended, that's your punch, you're going to win every time, okay? Think about the leverage that you have. Think about the power that's generated there. Just to show you a little contrast, this is the second rep, or maybe later in the session I cut a few out, but hips not necessarily as extended. Okay, you shot the arms out this way, not necessarily that angled punch to the chest of the lineman. So you kind of fell off in this rep. So remember, every rep is important. We're working this hip extension. We're working the elbows, getting locked out and delivering that blow to the offensive lineman. Okay, continuing on to our pass rush technique. Okay, we're working the club and swipe here. We're taking our time getting to the target. We're going to emphasize a few things. Number one is the actual club. Okay, you're a big, powerful dude. This club has got to come and let this offensive lineman know that you mean business. Okay, every single piece of energy is coming from that club. All right, letting him know you're there and you're going to be there all game long. Okay, so you're gonna wake him up with this punch or this club hitting that bag, all right? And at the same time, we're gonna flip our hips and get those hips disengaged from the offensive lineman, okay? You're not gonna get past this offensive lineman unless those hips are flipped and you clear yourself from where he's standing. So I think this is a pretty good job of demonstration, getting those hips around the offensive lineman. And then I don't know if you could see, but you have a swipe. That swipe here, this arm is where you're going to finish, making sure any piece that he has left of you, you're really going to shoot your arm up, rip through that whatever's left of that offensive lineman, and you leave him in the dust. It's good. This is coming from the left side. Now you went with a swim on this one, and we're trying to work the club and swipe, okay? So being disciplined in what you're working on, knowing your approach, knowing what you're working on is crucial, all right? So we're going to focus on staying disciplined in our technique and working on what's meant to be worked on in any given drill. All right, same swim move that you're working there, but I'm just going to emphasize again, those hips got to be cleared away from that offensive lineman after that club, and then we're going to work right down the line of scrimmage, attacking that quarterback, all right, because you don't want to give any more ground because that quarterback's probably going to be up in that pocket somewhere. Okay, right here we're just working on our set lines, okay? So our aiming point, like I said, is going to be about 4, almost 5 yards deep, almost 2 yards inside of your original alignment, okay? So that's where you have to be. That's where you have to beat that offensive lineman. So we're working on the get off, okay? We're working on my reaction right now, my movement, okay? So keeping that movement on the offensive lineman in the corner of your eye, and getting to that line, getting to that spot before he does. Now, also what we talked about is the viewpoint of the offensive lineman, okay? I see you right here. We talked about surface area, all right? If you're giving up your whole chest, you're giving up your whole body and facing that offensive lineman, you're giving him the maximum amount of surface area to punch, okay? I'm looking for a target right there as the left tackle, okay? You're going to try and make that target as small as possible. So you got your shoulders turned right to that set line, right to that goal where you're trying to get. Okay, you're not flipping your chest or exposing yourself into the absolute last minute, and then you're going to use your hands to get his shoot, to get his punch off of you quick and get to the quarterback. Now, in these drills, we didn't necessarily work the hands just yet. We're just looking at the set line, working the goal, beating the offensive lineman to that spot, and getting there. Okay, so again, minimizing that that surface area, okay, and getting past that offensive lineman. Now, what we worked here, and this goes along with surface area, right? You want to make your target as small as possible for that offensive lineman. So we're scooping up that tennis ball, really simulating you getting low, setting that edge, not giving that offensive lineman any space or surface area to work with. You're cutting off that edge and getting flat right back down to the quarterback. You're going to get your get off, you're going to stay active, and then you're going to eventually get to that set line and pressure in to that pocket, collapse the pocket, and get to the QB. Okay, that's what that tennis ball does. Emphasize you getting down, giving that offensive lineman as less surface area as possible, and collapsing that pocket, getting vertical or getting sideways right to that quarterback. Okay, I think there's only one clip where the offensive lineman oversets. Okay, now this is our first time going through this drill, but there's got to be a way. You got to press that set line until the absolute last second, and then stick that foot in the ground when you're on the offensive lineman's toes, getting inside and giving him a rip or swipe by, get into that quarterback. Now, from here, what it looks like, I think you have a little too much distance between yourself and the offensive tackle. Okay, so you're really going to step on his toes. You're going to rush, stick that one foot in the ground, and get back to that QB, draw a flat line back down to him. All right, I know we worked at the end of this, kind of the swipe there, or the rip through, okay? I like that technique right there. That's what I like to see. This rip is all the way high over your shoulder. This gives you the opportunity to get that last hand or that last attempt by the offensive lineman off of you, all right? So if you're ripping and you don't get up past your shoulder, that offensive lineman has something else to hang on to. This will clear everything else from you and give you a clear avenue to the QB. Now, I just think you just did that a little too far from the offensive lineman, okay? So I would be probably able to react because you made that move too early. So again, like I said, I would just emphasize getting to the offensive lineman's toes, all right, pushing him up the field, sticking that foot in the ground, ripping through with my outside hand, tearing through any kind of strength that he has left.